afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special session of the Board of Public Works for Friday, August 21st, 2020. Dr. Campos, good afternoon. Do we have quorum?
Good afternoon, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. We do have President Good, we have Vice President Garcia, we have Commissioner Caloza, and Commissioner Davis. Mr. President, you do have a quorum at this time. Just for the record, every commissioner is dialing in remotely. We have President Good and Commissioner Caloza and Davis that are dialing in from City Hall, and Commissioner Garcia is dialing in from home. I am dialing in myself from home today, and we are also joined today by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan, who is remotely dialing in from home as well. President Good, we have a quorum. We do have one speaker in the queue for public comment. We also have one speaker in the queue for item number 3 for today's special agenda. Item number 3 and also public comments, we received Google form comments that have been distributed to all commissioners via email, and those should be in your in basket.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Why don't we start with, and is that Dr. Williams for public comment?
Yes.
Why don't we start with public comment? And Dr. Williams, good afternoon.
Come in. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, we're working on, Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, and Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community in El Sereno. We're quite concerned regarding a South Pasadena project that actually involves the City of Los Angeles properties and will be connecting to Lowell Avenue, which is a City of Los Angeles street, but they apparently have not coordinated anything with the City of Los Angeles. So I'm quite concerned. We found out about it only because a neighbor was concerned about the construction and his property. But we have found that basically the Planning Commission of the City of South Pasadena has approved it and given it a categorical exemption from CEQA and puts it into Lowell Avenue rather than extending it out on Moffett. So we're quite concerned as to whether any bureau within the City of Los Angeles Department of Public Works has had any contact with South Pasadena Planning Commission regarding this project. It's called the Moffett Private Street Extension, and they now have it connecting to Lowell Avenue in 90032. Anybody have any public records? So,
I will acknowledge that I have not heard about this project.
President Good, we do not reply back on public comments.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Please continue, Dr. Williams.
I understand.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Okay. All right. So with that, and you said, Dr. Campos, no commentary from, no additional public comment or neighborhood council commentary?
That is correct, Mr. President.
Okay. With that, let's move to agenda item number 1. This is the approval of the minutes from Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. Do I have a second to my motion to move these forward? Got a second from Vice President Garcia. Any objections, Commissioner Caloza?
None, thank you.
President Pro Tem Davis?
No objections.
All right. The meetings from August 11th are moved forward and approved. Let's move on to item number 2 from the Bureau of Engineering, Council Districts 4 and 13. This is budget increase and supplemental agreement change order number 74, Reyes Construction Inc., North Atwater non-motorized multimodal bridge project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize $875,000 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $17,120,369 for the North Atwater non-motorized multimodal bridge project. And two, authorize the city engineer to issue supplemental agreement change order number 74 to Reyes Construction, Inc. in the amount of $369,298.05 for additional costs associated with the steel price increase and design modifications. Shirley Lau is here from the Bureau of Engineering. Good afternoon, Shirley.
Good afternoon, President Good and board members. Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering, Bridge Improvement Division. The North Atwater Bridge is a non-motorized multimodal bridge for equestrians, pedestrians, and bicyclists to make year-round crossings of the LA River between Atwater Village and Griffith Park. It is a cable stay bridge with a center mass approximately 120 feet high. The bridge does have two separate paths, one for the equestrians and the other for pedestrians and bicyclists. In May 2017, the Bureau of Engineering was authorized to carry out the construction of this project after the plans, specifications, and estimate were gifted to the city through Council File 11-1246-S1. After award of the construction contract, the Bureau reviewed the plans for the bridge structure and modified the plans to provide missing details on the structure, which included revised cable sizing, steel member modifications, and other details required for design efficiency, structural capacity, and enhanced constructability. So between December 2017 and April 2018, the structural steel plans were verified and finalized by the engineer in collaboration with the steel fabricator. And subsequently, shop drawings were produced, and the review process for the shop drawings for the entire bridge structure occurred between May 2018 until September 2018. So the engineer approved that in September 2018. So the procurement of all the steel materials was completed in October of 2018. The steel materials totaled approximately 425,000 pounds, and this was procured 10 months after the original scheduled procurement due to the modifications that we made on the bridge structure. The contractor submitted a request for the escalation in steel prices during the 10-month delay, and the city staff, we verified these invoices with the steel suppliers. As part of this board report, the Bureau of Engineering is requesting authorization to compensate the contractor for the increase in steel prices due to the delay, which totals $369,928.05 for the 425,000 pounds of steel, and that would be the supplemental agreement change order number 74. Though there was a delay in the procurement of the steel, the fabricator did accelerate their fabrication in order to meet the original project completion date. Also, for both the bridge's east and west approaches, we built both approachways up by about 8 feet high than what was originally there in order to meet the bridge. And the bridge required a certain amount of elevation due to the requirements by the Army Corps of Engineers. So for the east and west bridge approaches, the original as-bid plans provided the general intent of the work to be performed there, and the contractor proceeded to build the project based on these as-bid plans and also to meet the original completion date. However, due to the insufficient details on the original plans, the contractor submitted to the Bureau of Engineering change order requests after the field work was performed that documented utilization of additional labor, materials, and equipment to construct the elements at both of these approaches. And also, there was additional work required by the regulatory agencies that was beyond what was originally stipulated in the permits. So in general, the requests are related to some of the missing details, such as closure of the gap between the bridge and some portions of the approachways. We had to add perforated steel plates. Also, there were changes to the separation wall between the bridge, and also separation wall between, and the retaining walls that were holding up the equestrian ramps that lead up to the bridge. We also made adjustments of the equestrian ramps due to unforeseen site conditions. And there were flood wall extensions required by the Army Corps of Engineers during their inspections. And we also had to restore the LA River beyond what was stipulated in the original permits. So BOE finds some merit to the change order requests that were submitted, and we are reviewing all the backup documentation that has been submitted to the Bureau. And so including the supplemental agreement change order number 74 discussed earlier, BOE is requesting a not to exceed $875,000 in additional contingency to finalize all the change order requests and also close out the project. There is no impact to the general fund. The funding is currently available in the Engineering Special Services Fund. So we request the board to approve the recommendations set forth in this report, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. Colleagues, any questions? Let's start with President Pro Tem Davis.
I have none. I have no questions.
Okay. Vice President Garcia?
I have just one. Shirley, thank you for your report. That was really good. And mine it's mostly about one of the pictures you have here, figure number 1, West Bank Equestrian Ramp. I see that it has pebbles in it. Is that going to remain that way?
Yeah, so when we had when we took the picture for this board report that has been in circulation, the little pebbles were there, but right now we have removed it, and it's actually decomposed granite.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah,
I was kind of concerned.
that.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned about the pebbles in the long term.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I'm glad that you changed it. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have, President.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Colosa?
I'm good. I have no questions. Shirley briefed me on this item.
Okay, great. All right. So this is really closing this thing out, in essence, right?
That is correct, President.
And you've done really incredible work getting this done in a lot of challenging circumstances, Ms. Lau and the team at BOE. So thank you very much. I don't have any additional comments or questions. Do I have a motion to move this item forward forthwith?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. So we have a motion from President Pro Tem Davis to move this forward with seconds from Vice President Garcia and Commissioner Colosa. I have no objections. So hearing no objections, this item is approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Lau. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you, President. Thank you, board members.
Mr. President, Fernando Campos here. Real quick question on item number 2 that was just carried by your board. I believe the increase in the budget is new money, and I just wanted to get some clarity. If it's part of the existing contingency, then it's not required. Mayor's approval is not required under the cost containment, but I believe it's new money that's being added to the budget. So if your board would like to consider to amend this item subject to the mayor's approval, we can. Otherwise, the motion did carry without that condition.
I believe this is actually new money. Ms. Lau, is that correct?
Right, we are increasing the ceiling of the original budget. That's correct.
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Campos, for flagging it. That's right. So we will need to amend that. So do I have, sorry, colleagues, and thanks again for the flag, Dr. Campos. Do I have a motion to approve this item contingent on approval or review by the mayor's office under the cost containment amendment? Okay. Second?
Second.
All right. So no objections on my end. We have a motion from Dr. Davis to move this item forward as amended with seconds from Commissioner Colosa and Vice President Garcia. With no objections, we will move this item forthwith as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Have a great
Thank you
weekend.
so much. You too.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to item number 3. This is Council Districts 3, 6, 8, 10, 11, 14, and 15. Amendment number 2, letter of agreement, hygiene facilities for unsheltered residents. Recommending the board authorize the director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to issue amendment number 2 to the amended letter of agreement between YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles and City of Los Angeles, authorizing the continued usage of hygiene facilities for unsheltered residents until August 31, 2020 by increasing the payment amount from $540,000 to $860,000. I think Bob Potter's here with us to speak on the item. Good afternoon, Mr. Potter. Can you proceed, please?
Sure. Good afternoon, President Good, Commissioners Garcia, Davis, Caloza, Executive Officers, City Attorney, and Bureau Representatives. I'm Robert Potter, Division Manager for Solid Resources Support Services Division with LA Sanitation and Environment. LA Sanitation is requesting authorization of an authority to expend and an amended letter of agreement with YMCA of Los Angeles for the utilization of 9 hygiene facilities to be available to unsheltered residents during this period of the COVID-19 emergency. This will extend the agreement by 2 months, covering the time period of April 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2020. The County Department of Health, Public Health, and the Centers for Disease Control have provided guidelines for basic hygiene practices, which include our vulnerable unsheltered residents. This will supplement the 6 mobile hygiene units that LA San currently deploys for unsheltered residents. The YMCA has agreed for LA San to utilize the showers, bathrooms, and locker rooms of 9 YMCA facilities. Anderson Munger, Colin Katz, Hollywood Wilshire, Stuart Ketchum Downtown, Mid-Valley, Weingart Wellness and Aquatic Center, Westchester, West Valley Family YMCA, and Wilmington YMCA. LA San has inspected the facility's condition prior to use and will repair any damages caused by the facility to the facility during the use and return the facilities in a safe and clean condition comparable to when LA San began utilizing the facilities. Participants utilizing these facilities will have to sign release waivers against the YMCA and the city, as well as agree to program rules. Participants' temperatures will be checked and screened, and participants with temperatures of over 100.4 degrees or having COVID symptoms will not be allowed to use the facilities. LA San will pay YMCA $5,000 per week per facility at the beginning of each month. This amendment will be adding an additional $320,000 and will increase the ceiling up to $860,000. The additional $320,000 will be funded from Fund 100, Department 82, Object 304, using COVID-related funds in AE 2110001056. I'm glad to answer any questions at this point.
Thank you, Bob. Very much appreciated. Colleagues, this is the item I think Dr. Williams is here to speak on. Why don't we go ahead and have Dr. Williams' comments for now? Dr. Campos? You're muted.
Hello? Yes.
Well,
Dr. Tom Williams.
One moment, Dr. Williams. Dr. Campos, we didn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was on mute. I was just telling Dr. Williams, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
It's Dr. Williams.
All right, Dr. Williams, welcome again. Please go ahead.
Okay. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council Director for the north area of our NC. The basic element is nobody knew this was coming, at least in the neighborhood councils, and the Department of Neighborhood Environment did not notify anybody that these facilities would be available and when and where they will be available. Now, the 9 facilities of the YMCA, they're over 5 miles away from our 100 people without shelter, homeless commonly called, and we could have helped on doing something. But please, in the future, coordinate through the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment so that we know at least that they're available and when and where they will be available. Will the funding go past August the 31st? Is it still planned to go on beyond the use of the city facilities? That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Appreciate that very much. Colleagues, let's start with Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. Thanks, Dr. Williams, for your feedback as always. And I guess I have a question about this new amendment. I know here it says that the usage, says the continued usage for 7 hygiene facilities and up to 9 in August. So did 2 drop off from when we last saw this item?
Yeah, that's correct. So in July, if we go back in the history of the COVID, I believe in July is when they actually changed some of the policies on the gyms reopening for a short period of time. So a couple of the YMCA facilities were reopening, so they excluded them from the program because they were going to do a rollout. And then when we had the little spike and they decided to reclose the gyms, that would allowed us to negotiate for all 9 facilities since they were closing those 2 that were going to open.
I see, okay. And which 2 ended up closing again that were no longer available?
Okay, it was North Valley, and then it was also the Colin Katz in West LA were the 2 that were going to reopen.
Got it. And when are those going to reopen? Just so we can say it here, we're on a public meeting.
Yeah, okay, so they were going to reopen in July, and then the spike hit, and they didn't reopen. They opened for a short window, and then they converted back to taking care of the homeless population in August. So that's why we went for 7 during the month of July, because those 2 weren't available to the city for use with the unsheltered residents. But by August, they knew that they were not going to reopen, so we were able to increase that from 7 to 9 facilities. So
okay, so they're all open now?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, they're all open now.
I thought you were saying that they're going to be open. That's helpful to know. Can you speak a little bit about kind of the point that Dr. Williams raised for outreach? Maybe it'd be helpful to share in terms of how we're disseminating information, maybe websites that LASAN has where this information is publicly available. I know from the Public Works end, we have been issuing out different press releases and statements for our services and what's available. So if you can just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So when we originally entered in this in April, during one of the mayor's press conferences, the mayor announced the partnership with the YMCA and that we were going to provide this service. We did do a lot of press releases and informational. One of our partners in this is LASA. So LASA has been out, and as everybody knows, LASA meets with the unsheltered population on the streets and gives out this information to them and provides them with details of where they can go and what's local in the area. In some of the areas where there wasn't a local facility, we've actually arranged transportation. So in conjunction with LADOT, they provided some services to transport some unsheltered residents into to the facilities to be able to use the showers and the facilities.
Great. And did we do any outreach to neighborhood councils, or can we do more outreach so that they can have the information they need?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why we can't. No, I mean, I will talk with our PAO representative and make sure that I'm sure they have the contacts and the links to be able to put we have a flyer that goes out, and that's usually handed out by LASA to the residents. They could also provide that flyer to the neighborhood councils, I'm sure.
Great. And if you just reach out to Raquel Beltran, who's a general manager for Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. They have a really helpful newsletter that's to all the neighborhood councils that I'm sure they'd be happy to include that. And if you need any assistance from the board, we're of course happy to also help make the connection or emphasize the need to also share this information with them.
Well, thank you. We always know you're here to help us, so thank you.
Thanks so much, Robert. I'm good, Doctor. I almost called you Dr. Good. President Good.
You've never gotten that before.
Take it.
My picture, and then I.
Take it.
Dr. Davis and Dr. Campbell's may be offended, but
Not at all.
She's the doctor of the law.
there we go. That's right. I am. That's right. Okay. President Pro Tem, Dr. Mike Davis, any questions?
Yes, I wanted to ask Mr. Potter, how long have we been implementing this program with the YMCA and your department?
The program started, I think the first, and I'll look at my records to make sure I don't lie. April 4th was the first guess, April 6th, right around there. So we've been doing that since April 4th or April 6th, right around there.
And we collaborate with the mobile unit program as well, which was an earlier program prior to April that we had implemented to assist homeless, to give them access to water and showers and that kind of thing. Is that correct?
That's 100% accurate. We have 6 mobile hygiene units, and we use those to supplement the areas that may not have a YMCA facility nearby, and then some of the heavier unsheltered population areas, so we can make sure that they have the services they need.
Sure. So we collaborate. Now, since we really started the mobile program, obviously this international crisis in general, but in particular here in the city of Los Angeles, has come upon us, and we have this significant population of homeless individuals whom we knew did not have access to hygiene, water, and those kinds of things. So we then were, I guess, advised by our healthcare professionals here in the county, and maybe perhaps, I don't know if CDC has made some advice in terms of the importance of making sure that we are sufficient in providing resources to this homeless population. Is this the motivating factor for our collaboration in terms of working with your department and also working with the mobile units and also, in this case, working with the YMCA? Is that the motivating factor, is to make sure that the homeless population, given the COVID environment we find ourselves in, are not put in an adverse impact that not only harms them, but also can harm other people with whom they might come in proximity to? Is that one of our motivating factors here?
Yes, sir. I think you nailed it. I mean, going into this, LA San has had a big commitment with our unsheltered population through the mayor's office, through this board, and we did receive information from LA County Public Health and from the CDC when we started this, saying that this could be a bigger problem if we don't find a solution to start helping those that are unsheltered have access to the basic things they need, which is water, hand washing stations, mobile showers. And that's when the YMCA reached out, and we worked with them to collaborate so we could increase the volume of access to these kind of facilities.
How satisfied have you been heretofore with what we are doing in this particular project as it relates to our overall health and safety, quite frankly, in the city?
I've been very impressed. It's been a battle every day to make sure that we have the resources we can, but with the partnership that we formed with the YMCA, and I personally have been out to the facilities and interacted with these the residents that come and use these facilities, and how appreciative they are and how much it means to them. And it's protecting, like you said, it's not just them, it's the entire city of LA that's benefiting from their access to these facilities. So I'm very happy with it.
So these critical services, you're asking for an extension to what date?
This is the extension will be to August 31st of this of this year, August 31st, 20. But we've and just today I was in contact with the mayor's office. So one of the challenges we have is that the COVID-related funding doesn't come in as a lump sum saying it's good until the end of December 31st. It's coming in on a monthly basis, and that's why we're coming back on a monthly basis to amend the ceiling per se. But we know we've already been notified by the mayor's office that we're going to go and amend it again at least till the end of September, and we're getting the information that it will likely be till the end of the fiscal year. I mean, to the end of the December 31st.
You anticipated my next question. In fact, do we have any idea how long we will be confronted with this serious situation? And I guess at this point in time, we don't. I know some people are complaining nationally about the lack of government's response all over the country to this, and that lack of response has a lot to do with the spiking. We know that all of which we've been benefiting from our governor and our mayor, both of whom took bold leadership. And as much and as concerned and as all of the efforts that they have put into this, we still now have confronted ourselves with a spike. And it's certainly not because we didn't do everything that we should have. And so I could not imagine not being prepared to continue this collaboration given what we are confronted with today. This is a critically important service, and certainly I take it very seriously that this item is on our desk today, that we not only support it now, but we're going to have to live with the reality that we're going to have to support it in the future unless we're talking about doing the same thing that they're complaining about in Washington, which is doing nothing. So I can't imagine. And I support this, Mr. President, because of its urgency in our environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Vice President Garcia, any questions or concerns?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I would just comment that I would echo Dr. Davis's points. This is crucial. I think LA Sanitation and the environment, along with the mayor's office and council offices, who I personally know have worked really closely with sanitation in the mayor's office on this, and I think the concerns about outreach notwithstanding, which I think are valid, and I think I hear Mr. Potter saying that they will work towards addressing that, which, everything's been so fluid, so dynamic, so in the moment, quite frankly, that as we are now getting into sort of the marathon of this, I think it's crucial for us to be very intentional and very cognizant of places where we need to fill gaps. I think the public comment toward that end was actually really helpful. That said, it's a great program, and it's had really meaningful impacts. And, every single week, there are literally hundreds of folks being able to avail themselves of services that before this were not available. And that has a significant public health dividend, to say the least, particularly in light of where we're at with the pandemic. It also has an equally important compassion dividend, in that it is emblematic of the most humane treatment that, at the least humane treatment that should be afforded anybody. So I certainly am very happy to support this, and appreciate the presentation, Mr. Potter. So with that, do I have a motion? And that said, this will be subject to, though presumptively it will be quick, this will be subject to the mayor's cost containment review. So do I have a motion to move this forward?
So move.
The mayoral cost containment review. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. Any objections or concerns, Vice President Garcia?
None. Thank you.
All right. So hearing no objections, President Pro Tem Davis has moved a motion or introduced a motion to approve this item contingent on approval by the mayor's cost containment process. So this item is approved as amended forthwith. All right. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful weekend. And we've serviced 21,000 people, just for the record.
I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Dr. Williams for flagging that for us. Really appreciate it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, on to item number 4. This is a authority for expenditure request from Streets LA in CD 13, an authority for expenditure for creative paving solutions. Bureau of Street Services and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $20,000 to pay for the installation of a permanent decorative roadway treatment in the center lane on either side of the mid-block crosswalk near 6801 Hollywood Boulevard. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Here to present on this item is Greg Spots from Streets LA. Good afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How are you?
Greetings from the Public Works Building.
Thank you. All right. Greetings from City Hall.
I'm Greg Spots, Assistant Director and Chief Sustainability Officer for Streets LA. Today, we come before the board seeking approval of an expenditure that will facilitate the installation of a decorative pavement treatment on Hollywood Boulevard consisting of the words, "All Black Lives Matter." The City Council approved this project on Wednesday, August 19th, based on a report from the Department of Cultural Affairs. The report was initially approved by the Health, Education, Neighborhoods, Parks, Arts, and River Committee on August 13th. I'm going to try to share my screen here so that you can see some supportive images here. Okay. As described in the report, a temporary message reading "All Black Lives Matter" was painted across 3 lanes of Hollywood Boulevard in mid-June in conjunction with the June 14th All Black Lives Matter march. The march and the painted message brought visibility to the often invisible queer Black communities of Los Angeles. On the slide there is an aerial photo just a few days after that mural was painted. You can see on the upper edge of the photo there is Hollywood and Highland, and on the upper left is the famous Chinese Theater. You can see some of the stars from the Hollywood Walk of Fame, actually. To enable a safe installation process, Streets LA worked with Council District 13 to install K-Rail to close Hollywood Boulevard between Highland Avenue and Orange Drive. The street remained closed for approximately 1 week to protect the temporary painted message from damage and to assist visitors in safely observing and taking pictures with the decorated pavement. And that's the condition that you're seeing on this first slide. Subsequently, Streets LA adjusted the K-Rail to enable 1 lane of traffic along the curb in each direction. That's how it is today. There basically is a single lane of traffic and then a line of K-Rail where the first row of striping would be, so that those 3 center lanes are still protected by K-Rail longitudinally coming down this block. In July, Councilmember Mitchell Farrell and the Department of Cultural Affairs worked with the community to develop a design for a permanent decorative paving treatment at this location. The design of the permanent treatment is a smaller version of the temporary treatment, fitting into the unused center area on either side of the mid-block crosswalk. This here is an image of the area where the permanent location will be painted. As you can see, there is a unused center lane that doesn't bear traffic, and that seems to be the best place to have a decorative paving treatment that won't get dirt and tire marks on it, and will be easily viewable there as you cross the mid-block crosswalk. And here is an image of the design. It's basically a mirror of the original design, but about 8 feet tall instead of 30 feet tall. Streets LA and LA DOT helped ensure that the design would use durable roadway appropriate materials and would not conflict with the legibility of the striping on Hollywood Boulevard. Streets LA has identified an appropriate pavement coating available in multiple colors, and also a contractor, Creative Paving, who specializes in the installation of decorative pavement designs. Creative Paving works extensively with the Los Angeles Unified School District, making decorative designs and play areas on asphalt playgrounds. And the contractor has worked previously with our agency on cool pavement projects. The AFE before you today would enable Streets LA to pay $20,000 to Creative Paving for the installation. The necessary funds have been transferred to Streets LA from the Council District 13 portion of the Council Civic Fund via Wednesday's council action. And with that, I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Greg. Very much appreciate that. Colleagues, let's start with Commissioner Caloza. Any comments or questions, Commissioner?
Thanks, President Good. Yeah, I have a few quick follow-up questions. One, obviously thanks to Streets LA for doing the work for the original temporary art installation. I know that was a really big deal, and working with the organizers and the community and the council offices to really make sure that that was done in a way that was respectful and that we were ready for what was happening in terms of the demonstrations that weekend. The question that I had for you is for this permanent installation. I know that this is an unused median here on Hollywood Boulevard, is whether or not this is, whether or not we looked at pedestrian safety for this area and whether or not there's a pedestrian light there. And I just wanted to ask that since, given the visual, I know people will be inclined to take photos and stop in the middle, perhaps, to take a picture of this installation. So just wanted to see what you all talked about with DOT as it relates to that.
I haven't been there in a little while, and I don't know if there's a flashing beacon there or not. Basically, I don't think the street design has changed in terms of the striping and signaling. There's just the painting of that middle area. That's a question we probably have to get a response from LADOT for you.
Yeah, if you can follow up with them, I think that would be helpful, just because we're, I think we're creating something where people want to take a picture near it or next to it and post it on their Instagram or Facebook. So I just want to make sure that we're checking for that pedestrian safety. And then second question, and I'll wait to get your response on that first question that I had. Is the timeline for this? When are you looking to begin the installation, and when do you think it'll be completed?
The plan is to make the installation next week. It's really a week-long process of closing the street. The first couple days involve the removal of the existing temporary decorative treatment and application of some slurry seal to freshen up the look of the street. Then LADOT would replace the striping as it originally was. And then next Friday and Saturday, Creative Paving would do the decorative installation. And the street would open again on Monday. So the street would be closed from Monday to Monday.
Got it. I just got a text here from former President James, who's listened to our meetings, and he said there is a flashing beacon there. So he drove by it this morning. So no need to follow up, President James. Just texted me the answer. Thank you for doing that. I don't have any other questions, but I'm very supportive of this. I think that this is a great way to respond to everything that's happening and show our support from our own way in public works. So thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Greg, this is obviously a really great project, and Colosa really brought some good points that I think, especially folks that want to take pictures or want to demonstrate that they were there. But I have a question, and you guys might have gone over this already, and I'm sure it's approved and all that great stuff. But I know that I was in conversations prior about, at a certain point, about putting yellow on the street, and at that point, DOT told us that we couldn't put the yellow because, I don't know, reflex and so forth. Have you guys checked in on, or is it a different yellow that they're not okay with?
DOT has approved this treatment and the materials. It's not in thermoplastic. It's not reflective. I think, yellow crosswalks are only allowed at schools by state code, but there's no concerns from DOT about the particular colors. It's a material that's designed to be on the roadway, but not as a pavement marking. So it doesn't have those little sparkly crystals that light up at night.
Okay, that's all really. Thank you. And obviously, I really support this project as well.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, I want to thank Councilman Mitchell Farrell and obviously the leadership of Mayor Eric Garcetti. We often, throughout this country in general, and again, in LA in particular, having to deal with inclusion and minority groups who really want to be included in a real way. We know that when we first had these letters installed, that it was done so on a temporary basis. And when it came time to adjust those letters, it caused quite emotion from many of the community who wanted it to remain. And the councilman, in his leadership, did let it remain, and now we are making a transformation to something more permanent. And I just want to say, given all of what those of us in government have had to deal with in terms of diversity and inclusion over the last few months, that this is certainly something that I believe will be healing, particularly here in Los Angeles, that people will feel included, will feel that their interest and that their contribution is important and that we embrace it. So I don't have any questions, I just had those comments, not only in terms of street services and the great work that you're doing, but how that great work is extending to the community to feel as if they belong. So for that, I think we all should be grateful.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
Be hard to really say anything more elegant or more appropriate than that. I do think it's really important to recognize the leadership of Councilmember O'Farrell, who jumped all over this. I think the leadership of Streets LA, Greg, Ming, and then certainly Adele Hashkhalil jumping all over this. I think past President Kevin James has certainly been involved in this. And then, I think that the whole council and the mayor obviously should be recognized. I think for the recognition of the opportunity, and should not be, overused in circumstances, but there are certainly moments and there are certainly occasions where it is particularly appropriate for government to speak, and for government to speak to values, and for government to speak to its values. And this, we talk a lot already in these meetings about the now 6-month pandemic that we have been immersed in and will continue to navigate. And what has also been laid bare, and they're connected in so many ways, is the multi-century pandemic of structural racism that we continue to flail at times as a society, and we are working to address on myriad policy fronts. But it's also important that as government, sometimes we say, this matters, these folks matter, this counts. And so I think that this is really exciting, and appreciate the presentation, Greg, appreciate the leadership of Adele, you and everybody, and me, and then our colleagues, all of whom obviously are very supportive here. So with that, do I have a motion to approve this item forthwith?
Second.
Okay, I will introduce the motion to approve this item forthwith with a second by Commissioner Davis, or President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections or concerns? Vice President Garcia? Commissioner Closa? Okay. Commissioner Closa?
No objections.
Particularly since we got a flashing beacon. All right, hearing no objections, this item is moved forward and approved forthwith. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, Ming. Thank you, Adele, who I see joined us. Thank you, Rose, and really can't wait to see it. So thank you. All right. With that, let's move on to item number 5. And this is, the mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the memorandum of agreement between the city and 3 other agencies for cost sharing of implementing the coordinated integrated waste management, or integrated not waste management. Let me start that over for the record, Dr. Campos. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the memorandum of agreement between the city and 3 other agencies for the cost sharing of implementing the coordinated integrated management plan for the Marina Del Rey watershed. Here to present on this item.
No presenters, President.
No presenters. This is an administrative
item, a transmittal coming from the mayor's office to your board for approval.
Oh, okay, that's right. So do I have any questions? Vice President Garcia?
No questions, President. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have any questions from President Pro Tem Davis?
None for me.
Okay. Commissioner Colosa?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. So with that, we will move this item. Do I have a motion to move this item?
So move.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. So with that, this item, any objections, Commissioner Colosa?
None, thank you.
Vice President Garcia?
No objections.
And President Pro Tem Davis?
None.
Okay, so with that, hearing no objections, this item is moved forthwith. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with that, Dr. Campos, is the deck cleared?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay. I would like to, I'd like to take a moment and introduce an adjourning motion. Some folks may not be aware, but just a couple of days, or just 2 days ago, Vivian Marquez from the LA Sanitation and Environment Bureau passed away. Vivian joined the city of Los Angeles as a laboratory technician at the Department of Water and Power. She transferred to LA Sanitation and has worked in a number of capacities. She was an environmental inspector, a senior environmental inspector, environmental supervisor, and lastly, an environmental affairs officer with the Watershed Protection Division. She oversaw the pollution assessment section and recently the monitoring of the new regulatory framework of the MS4 stormwater permit. By all accounts, Vivian was a dedicated public servant, an amiable and kind and very well respected part of the LA sanitation team. She was loving and caring by all accounts, and I've heard that from numerous of her colleagues, and she is survived by her husband and children. You know, it's very easy to get caught up in our day-to-day lives as we need to, and our work in keeping the city running, but humans keep the city running. It is with heavy heart that I would move to amend or to adjourn this meeting in honor of Vivian Marquez.
Great. I have one too, President Good. Is it possible to do it today, or would you prefer?
No, please.
Okay. I also want to adjourn in the memory of a public servant who served in the Los Angeles State Legislature as the past assemblywoman of the 47th District, which included the Crenshaw, South LA area. And Assemblywoman Gwen Moore passed on Thursday, or I think it was early Thursday morning. And she was very active as one of the chairs of the State Assembly Utilities Committee. And one of the many projects that she was responsible for is working closely with the inclusion of small businesses and minority businesses and supplier diversity in our utility companies. She was responsible for a policy called General Order 152 that required that women and minorities get opportunities to do work with utility companies throughout the state of California, those who had their own small businesses. And she was also active as a member of Trinity Baptist Church in Los Angeles, and very active as the first vice president of the state California and Hawaii NAACP, and very active in numerous legislative committees, the National Conference of State Legislators, and also active with women political groups, the National Law PAC and Law PAC group, the Los Angeles African American Women Political Action Committee. Gwen Moore was a quiet, solid, very determined and dedicated public servant, and she will surely be missed. And so it is with the saddest condolences to her family and to her many friends. She was finally a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as well, and she will be sorely missed.
Thank you, President Davis, and absolutely. She was great. All right. Anything else, colleagues? Okay. Thank you all, and this meeting is adjourned. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
So we will take a 5-minute recess and then reconvene for our leader management.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have to let Jessica know to come back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll be back. We good, Fernando? For now?
Go ahead, President. Did I miss him?
No, I was just saying, are we good for a moment? I'm gonna.
Yes, I stopped the recording. I just need to confirm with Cairo if he turned off the council audio line.
I'll turn that off now, Fernando.
Oh, thank you, Cairo.
Thank you, Cairo. I'll be right back.